Hello, my name is Colton Smith, and today I want to talk to you about vowel intervention. So for our agenda for today is going to be what is vowel intervention, the common uses and ways that we see it used, some real world examples of working on vowels, the strengths and weaknesses of this approach, and then a wrap up of the information about it. To start off, what is intervention? Vow vow intervention is much like its more popular cousin, consonant intervention. For a vowel intervention, a clinician or SOP works to prevent the disorders or to improve the production of vowel sounds for a client. And as vowel sounds are such a important part of our speech in all of our words, if there's an issue with vowels, whether it be substitutions or omissions, it can greatly affect the intelligibility of a person's speech. Now, the prominent researchers are Fiona Gibbon, Karen Pollock, and Martin J. Ball. These I felt like these people were so important as they wrote the Handbook of Vowels and Vowel Disorders, and that is such a basis on such a framework of this topic that it is cited in many other papers. Now, the common uses of vowel intervention are speech sound disorders, accent modification, hearing impairment, dysarthria, and apraxia. As all these have some form of speech or language disorder, vowels can be heavily affected either in not being able to produce them or not being able to say them the way that they want to say it. And for approaches and goals of common approaches and goals for vowel intervention is DTTC, which helps in cueing and the motor aspect of speech, and Bjornum cards, which are cards that have a picture that is related to a sound that can be practiced or worked with. And the goals for it is general vowel production and the intelligibility of a patient. Lastly, on this page, vowel intervention can be used in severe and profound cases, and as it all it does is to help and practice certain sounds, it can only be useful to a patient. In my example videos here, as they are too long to go over in this video, I'll describe them. The top one with Miss Clough is her in her classroom sounding out words with the class, going sound by sound, so that they can produce them and produce them in order and work on transitioning consonants to vowels to consonants. And second video with Miss McKinney is very similar, as as she starts off in the same way of whole words that don't necessarily focus on vowels. Then she moves into working on vowels individually, vowels in words, and then consonant vowels, vowel consonants, and consonant vowel consonant sounds and words. As for if As for the strengths and weaknesses of vowel intervention and if it should be used, the strengths is that it's very direct. It allows for a clinician to focus on one aspect and just bam, 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 try to to hammer a sound home or a group of sounds. And as it's such a broad topic, the clinician has many therapy options or forms of treatment that they can use for valve intervention depending on each individual client. And as for the weaknesses of valve intervention, it's kind of similar to my second point on the strengths. There's not a lot of framework to work off of, as it's not as common or as much or as well documented with as much research on it as compared to consonant interventions and issues with consonant sounds. Therefore, clinicians have to kind of think up their own solutions and treatments instead of going off of well documented or well used treatments. To to round everything out, bowel intervention is always useful. It can't harm a patient, especially if they have bowel issues. So it's always a good thing to know that. It's something that all SLPs should know and to have in their back pocket. That way they can use it as needed or reference it for other treatments or issues. The only issue, of course, is that there isn't a lot of research or cases to go off of. And so clinicians kind of have to think of their own treatment and solutions to valve problems. And thank you.